Well, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to. I feel like we're extra close tonight.
We are, aren't we? Do we
Do I
need
need
to
to push
do we
that
need to
back?
back it up a little?
We'll back it up.
Well, let's
too.
not back that ring light up off of the table for sure.
Well, that's not going to be backed off. Are we good? We need to close it back up. We need backup. Are we good?
I think we could back up, but I think we're okay.
I think
though.
we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Well, hello to everyone out there, and welcome to Force of Light Live. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Let's see. Anthony, I replied to this. I'm fascinated by the Barbie movie. Yeah, we're going to talk Barbie a little bit here with our guest. Barbie is all the rage right now.
It's inspired a lot of conversation. You have to give it that.
It's definitely sparked conversation. I will say that. It has. But it's killing it at the box office. So we're going to get into that. We've not seen this kind of box office. Well, Mario did really good before the summer box office started, but Barbie's doing good. And in just a minute, I'm going to pull out. We've got a lovely guest with us.
Yes.
Keri Smith from Deprogram with Keri Smith is on. She's going to be on in just a minute. And we're very excited. She's one of our favorites to have on.
Absolutely.
We always really enjoy getting to chat with Keri. In fact, I got to be on with her on Friday. And I'll mention that when she comes back out. But anyways, I wanted to say hi to a few of you. I already said hi to Anthony, James, Stephen, Real Steven, Science Fiction Andrew, good to see you. And I hope you're having a great day. Also, Sensation, Griffin Turbo, KB, there's Natalie. Heath's Geek First, good to see you. Keeley, Brett, D. I'm going to let Natalie go with that one.
D. Oberski.
Good evening to you as well.
I don't think I got that right, but it's confidence.
She tried. Zachariah, good to see you. Your average Patriot nerd, always nice to see you. There's our guest in the chat, Miss Roy, Miss Muse, Song. I can't see that one. Sang.
Freudian.
Yeah, sorry, the ring light was in my eye just then. David, good to see you, man. Good to see you.
So glad you're here.
Yeah, so nice to see you. Trying to say hi to everyone before I bring out the guest.
Oh yeah, Pee-wee.
Yes. And Shane and Skywalker Academy. And hello to you. And hello to you. And hello to you as well. I'm not going to waste any time on this.
Without further
I will say that be on the lookout for those that are Blue members. They already have early access to they've got early access to our first time watching reaction. It's already out for them, and that is our next one, and that is Robin Hood Men in Tights. And that will be out for everyone tomorrow at 11:30. So be on the lookout for that. But let me go ahead and bring out our lovely guest, the one and the only Keri Smith.
Hello, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
you both look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You look
it's
good
okay
too.
that you're up close because your makeup is on point and you look your hair, everything, very lovely.
So we need to bring it back in, you're saying?
You could do either. It's fine with me.
But yes, we're so glad to have you. As I was saying, everyone in the chat, I went on Keri's channel Friday. Keri, have you come up with a new name for your occasional Christian show that you're going to do?
That's what we should call it, the occasional Christian show. Hold on. Let me write that down. That can be interpreted different ways.
Right.
Hold on. Occasionally Christian.
That's actually not bad. People are like, okay.
Does that mean they are occasionally Christian, or they just do it occasionally, or what? Okay, thank you for that. That might actually, I'm not even kidding, that might be it. It's in the running. That was so much fun. Yeah, we're gonna do Brahma Bull is the one that suggested we do some kind of occasional Christian panel. And then I had asked you and Brahma and Ode and a few other people to do this panel about the meaning of nefarious. And then he said, hey, why don't we try that panel this Friday? And I was like, oh no, that's too much to do in one day. And he's like, no, I mean, this could be the first one. I'm like, oh, duh. Like I basically booked what you were talking about and didn't even think about it. Yeah, so it was great.
But
I love
but
you.
but yes, for those of you watching, we talked on the Occasional Christian show. We talked the movie Nefarious and had a nice conversation about that movie. I know we've talked about it on this channel a little bit on the live streams, but I guess you just saw it like last week or before the week of the show, maybe.
Yeah, my husband and I had just watched it. You were one of the first people to tell me about it, and then Brahma told me, and then my friend Greg Wilson. I think there were like maybe 2 other people who said, you need to watch this. So it finally, I was like, okay, there's enough people. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Similarly, why I watched Barbie, but in a different way. I know we're going to get into that in a minute. I'll tell you then, but I
Well,
had a
and-
lot of people say watch it, and they all had different opinions.
Yes, yes, we are going to get in that. I was going to say, Natalie, I told her the next time, I mean, I think they'll do other stuff on that Occasional Christian episode, but I told her she needs to watch Jesus Revolution and we can all come back and discuss that.
Oh, it's so good.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit on her show about how, you know, I even confessed that so many of the Christian movies for so long, like I just had zero interest in them. Like they just didn't appeal to me. Like I was thankful for who they blessed, but I wasn't one of the people they blessed.
And
Yeah,
I even could be one of those people, like they would bless, you know, just because I can go there, I guess, despite the cheesiness. But then, yeah, there's been such a step up, like huge step up. So it's like, obviously that's better.
Yeah, that's what I was getting with. I think in my personal opinion, the big step up came with them adapting Redeeming Love, which is behind me.
That's when you've been recommending to me for a while.
Okay, but you've got to read the book I sent you before you're allowed to watch it.
Yeah, okay,
There's an order to that one.
Okay, I'll do
but I thought, I mean, not that it was perfect, but it was the first time I'd seen a Christian movie, and I was like, there was actually artistry to it, and it actually was pretty well done, and they did a good job with it. And then Jesus Revolution, the second I saw the trailer for it, I was like, I want to see that. That looks really good. And then we went and saw it, and it's one of the better movies of the year to me. Like, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It is an excellent movie, touching, but surprisingly quite humorous throughout it.
Yeah, and relatable. And it's just, a lot of elements going on.
And I had done enough with Jesus Revolution of watching kind of different stuff on that movement that I think they really captured it very true. I think because it is a historical would that be historical?
Yeah, like
no. It's truth. It's like the true story
of the hippie movement.
Yes. So it's definitely worth the watch. I definitely recommend it.
Cool. I'm not gonna delay as much as I did for Nefarious now. Now that you're giving me tips, I'm like,
well, and I don't know if let's see, I'm not sure if you have Netflix. I think it's coming on Netflix this month. Actually, you guys let me know in the chat if you know. I've been seeing advertisement on Twitter, Jesus Revolution coming to Netflix. So I think it is actually. If you have, and for all those you out there who have Netflix,
yeah.
But and let me grab this deranged lunatic, aka DL, member for 3 months. Hello, lovely Michelle, Natalie, and Keri. It is always a pleasure to see you again. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate
Thanks
that.
for being a member.
Yes, thank you for being a member. But yeah, I think that's kind of it with my. Have you watched The Chosen? I've still yet to watch that.
I have not watched it. That's another one. Several people have now told me I have to watch it, so I will. That one, but it's a series, you know, so I'm waiting to get into it.
Yes, and I think they put like one of the seasons on Netflix of that as well. I think I'm not sure, and I know it's on the CW now. Actually, they put The Chosen on it, so I don't have cable,
seen clips, and I just know I would like it because I even like I'm subscribed to like a channel that it just kind of like has actors quietly acting out, like say it's reading like Mark or Matthew, and it'll just kind of have actors kind of in the background, so you're getting
that
a
app,
visual.
that app that I've seen Mark Wahlberg and the guy who plays Jesus advertise.
It's a YouTube
Oh,
channel,
okay,
but they'll
okay.
do like full books of the Bible, but where there's this kind of I don't know. I think my brain works well that way. Sometimes when there's a bit of a visual too, like with the words they're saying. So I don't know. I'm sure I'd like the show is my point.
Yeah, and the guy who plays Jesus in The Chosen, he plays Lenny Crosby, who was a big figure in the Jesus Revolution in Jesus Revolution.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
and it's also the same. No, I'm
No.
thinking of Nefarious was the same studio or something as
No,
The
no, no.
Chosen,
The
right?
same
No?
studio is Angel Studios, who does The Chosen, released Sound of Freedom recently.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got you.
And they didn't make Sound of Freedom. They just got the rights from Disney and put it out and have now profited quite a bit from that. So have you had a chance to see Sound of Freedom?
Not yet, but we're going to see that one for sure. My husband saw an interview with the, I don't know if it was with the star or the director or someone, and he was really interested. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. I highly recommended it. I saw it the opening day. It's one of those movies, like I was walking out of the theater and like a wave of almost like grief fell on me of just like I needed to cry. Like that it's that type movie.
Yeah.
Like you can't just walk away from it and not think about it or be impacted by it. Like it's going to leave an impression.
Yeah. That's why, like some of those movies, you have to get in the right mindset. It seems like one of those, like, okay, heavy stuff.
It's a very good movie, like truly well acted, well made. It is. I mean, and they do a great job if they don't show you anything that's too overwhelming. It's just that's a heavy topic in general. So,
well, it is, and I want to see it, but I've told on here before. But my daughter, I was like, I wanted to go see it with her, but she was like, I'll pass because you're going to cry a lot, and that's going to make me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I understand. Fair enough.
It's honestly why I just went by.
She already knows.
It's honestly why I just went by myself on opening day on 4th of July. She was busy, and I'm like, I'm just not even telling anyone. I'm just gonna go.
You didn't mention you were going to the movies.
I'm just gonna go because if I cry, feel free to cry that way. So it is what it is. Yeah. So that's how I did that.
Like Schindler's List, like that movie. I've only watched it one time, but I didn't watch it until a few years ago, and it's like that last bit of the movie and that line, like of him thinking, oh, I could have done more, but
you're gonna cry if you go there.
No, I won't. But it's just like, I mean, I'm not kidding. Like 30, 45 minutes after the movie, fortunately, I was at home by myself. Like I'm still just like boo-hooing, it just had such an effect. But yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying that you're gonna cry because you've seen Schindler's List, I assume, right?
Yes, it's been a while, but yes, that's a
lot. But...
Man, that end scene, like that's one. If I think about that too much, it could bring a tear to my eyes.
Yeah.
But and let me grab this. Mumbling May with the $13.99 super chat. Hello, ladies, and hell to the chat. Well,
thank you very much, Mumbling May.
To you, Mumbling May. Congratulations again. I know you were ordained recently, so congratulations.
Oh, very cool.
Keri, I like to get the party started with my favorite clip that I have that I play a lot. So here it is.
She loves it.
I feel it. I feel it's very celebratory.
It is. I think so. You're not wrong.
What movie is that from?
That's from Top Gun Maverick, the beach scene.
Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. That's really good.
I'm a big fan.
She's a big fan of Ab.
I saw, speaking of tear jerkers, I mentioned this right before I went live on my show today, and I heard you guys mention it from the chat, but right before I went live, one of my mods texted me and said Pee Wee Herman passed away, or Paul Reubens, and I talk about him all the time. He's one of my favorite comedy characters. She knew to tell me before, so I wouldn't see it in the chat, and it did. It made me kind of emotional. I don't usually get emotional when celebrities, people I don't know, but whose art I like, I don't usually get that emotional when they pass away because I don't actually know them. But for some
Yeah.
reason, this one made me really emotional and uh, nostalgic. And yeah, that was just, we watched some clips today on my channel at the beginning because I think his movies just still hold up.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, which was co-written by Phil Hartman, who's so funny, who was so funny, also tragically not with us anymore. But yeah, I saw that in the news, and then right before we jumped on, somebody had tweeted at me the scene of him dancing in the biker bar to Tequila, and I remembered that was my entry song for my wedding. That's how much I love Pee Wee Herman.
Oh wow.
Dun, 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 you know, dun, 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 let's do this. And anyway, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
bummer. But
there's your text. I mean, your tweet, or I guess we should say your ex, because
Oh,
yeah.
Twitter decided to rename itself to just X.
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
cool, Michelle.
Is it though? Is it though? That's all I'm saying. I don't know that it is. Yeah, actually, our mom sent out on our family. That's how
Group
I found
chat,
out. Yeah.
an announcement
Aw.
of his passing.
Yeah, and I can't recall a time she texted us over a celebrity, but
Well, our brother, our older brother,
didn't he have the little doll that like a pull string?
he had the doll, and I wish I could find. I know there's pictures of me with it because I
With the
guess I
doll?
like kind of swiped it from him because I really loved it. He had his little sayings he would say when you did
Yeah.
you have one or did you?
I did not have one, but I know I wanted one. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
But yeah, and then Izzy went through a phase. I don't know if you know that, Michelle. Like a few years ago, we watched like all the, I think, what is there, like 3 movies or
Mhm.
of the Pee Wee Herman movies. And I wish I had heard them recently because I got pretty good at imitating them. Like if I've just heard it, like I can imitate it fairly well. But
do you want to go for Pee Wee?
I can't. It's too
live?
much pressure
Okay,
right now. I'm gonna have
okay.
to get back to you on that. But yeah, it really was kind of such a, like, it makes me want to rewatch those movies. And just because they really were kind of original, like just like thinking about it from a few years ago, like just so original and kind of art house and just different
Yeah.
than like it was kind of like a combination of things.
Yes, and it was it's weird, since we're going to talk Barbie in a little bit. There's a lot of things now where they take children's movies and children's programming, and then they make what they say is supposed to be an adult version of it, which is like, why are you making that for adults anyway? Like, I don't know. That tends to be the way things go now. But Pee Wee
Yeah.
Herman was the opposite. He developed that character in the Groundlings. It was a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes for adults, adult humor at
Mhm.
first, when it was a live show at the Groundlings. Then they took it and made it into a kids show, and they changed the humor.
Mhm.
But it was still very funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how, like, I don't care for Big Top Pee Wee or any of that, but the first movie, though, it still holds up. I maintain to this day. And the Christmas special, which I own, is amazing. Pee Wee's Christmas special. It has a ton of different, just a whole array of guest stars in it. And there's all these funny lines. Like there's one part where he gets in the sleigh with Magic Johnson, and he's talking about Magic Screen, which was a character on the kids show Magic Screen. And he's like, do you know Magic Screen or something? And Magic Johnson's like, Magic Screen and I are cousins because they're both named Magic. It's so stupid. It makes me laugh every time. It's just so silly, There's one part where he's in his phone booth on the Christmas special, and he's talking to is it Charo, or it might be Whoopi Goldberg or someone, and they just keep talking, and they're singing the 12 Days of Christmas, and he's got his little like when you're a kid and you make the oil can phones. It's a can on a string, and he's talking, and then it's just going on forever, and he gets bored, and so he slowly creeps out of frame, and then he puts a blow up doll of himself in the frame and leaves, escapes the booth. Just stupid stuff like that. It's just so silly, and just I love his comedy because it's like this childlike sense of joy and the silliest kind of humor. So
Yeah, we need that.
Well, I was just
Yeah.
thinking it's kind of like the world needs more just like pure silliness.
Mhm.
Like silliness that are pure. Like, yes, I said that, but but that brand of silliness. But just
yes.
I think we could use more of that as a society. It's good for the soul.
Do you know, I know WD, and I'm going to get to his super chat in a second. He was not wrong necessarily at all in his review of The Haunted Mansion, but I actually was kind of positive on that came out this weekend. And one reason I was positive is Tiffany Haddish and Owen Wilson genuinely made me laugh throughout the movie, and I can't recall a single cuss word in the entire movie. Like,
No.
and that today's time's just kind of impressive that they didn't fall back on like cuss words or really crude things, but it was just their timing kept making me laugh with their comments. And I have a feeling they probably just kind of went with it quite a bit. And it was probably just the two of them making me laugh. But yeah, we do need more kind of innocence in humor. It's
like
fun.
you said, almost like a childlikeness to it, even, but just that, like you said, that childlike kind of silliness and joyfulness.
Yeah, that character did so well.
Yeah.
And there are others like I'm a big fan also of like the weirdest comedy, but I love the movie Clifford.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, your viewing party, you need to watch this and tell me what you think. It's Martin Short.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So he plays a little boy named Clifford, and he goes to stay with his uncle, and he doesn't. The thing is, the conceit of the film is, even though it's an adult playing a little boy, nobody acknowledges that. He just plays as if he is.
Oh my God, I can
boy.
see it now. I can see him.
And he's an annoying little boy, and it's just so silly and ridiculous, that movie. And I know when it came out, I don't think it didn't do nearly as well as Pee-wee. And sometimes I'll mention that movie, people are like, "What?" And like, it's so good. You have to see it. And it's that same thing where he's just doing a silly character, and yeah.
Well, I feel like that's in the recess of my brain somewhere, because
I feel like I kind of know, but I don't think I've seen it.
My mind's eye could so easily picture him almost even made to look shorter, than he is, and still look very much like a man, but he's a little boy. Like, yeah, it already sounds funny.
Yeah, no, Martin Short was great. Or even just, do you know, like even entertainers or comedians back in the day, like Chris Farley, like how he was pretty innocent in all reality in his humor, and yet like I grew up as a little girl.
Physical comedy, his vocal inflections, and the way, like, really his movements were a big part of like what made him so funny.
Yes.
Didn't require any cussing or.
Yeah, I love comedians that can do characters. Like,
yes.
It's a very different beast than stand-up. And someone like Phil Hartman, who I mentioned, who wrote for Pee-wee, he and Paul Reubens met at the Groundlings Theater, and they developed that character together. And he wrote the first film, and he himself was just a great character comedian. Like, once he got to SNL, and it was his voices, it was his, he did a lot of voices for The Simpsons as well. And that was a comedian who just looks like an average guy, and he could embody so many different types of characters and really sell it. And yeah, hey Nina.
Yes, and hello to Nina. And yes, Jim Carrey back in the day was a great. I grew up with Jim Carrey, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler. Like, that's who I grew up with. That's why we've not seen. Yeah, that's why we've not seen so many movies, because I was watching all their movies on repeat, like over and over and over. In fact, Keri, have you seen? I have showed so many people. It was actually Chris Farley's last movie he starred in before he died.
Okay,
and it's called Almost Heroes. And it is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, you've got to watch that one.
I personally think it's funnier than Tommy Boy. I truly do.
Nice. I will look that up, because I love Tommy Boy.
Cult classic. Those of us who have seen it like adore it and can quote every line, but so many people for whatever reason didn't see it. And it's him, and basically the story is, so supposedly two people beat Lewis and Clark to the Pacific Ocean. And that is Chris Farley and Matthew Perry.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
And then
Okay.
their crew, yeah, and the rest is
That's
movie magic.
perfect.
It's gold.
And Chris Farley is very like a ruffian, like very, and then Matthew Perry is like an Englishman with like the accent. And I believe I'll wear the paisley robe this evening. Just from two different worlds. So it's so funny.
I bet I would love it. I just love, any good character, physical comedy, like all the silly stuff. It's just like Mr. Bean. I love Mr. Bean.
Do you know
that character?
I haven't either. What's wrong with us?
He's so good. Also, just another weirdo character. Yeah, you should see Mr. Bean. That's all.
I was gonna pull this up just for a second because it made me laugh today. Sometimes we need a moment of laughter. The Babylon Bee got me with this one. It's newly announced sequel, Sound of Freedom 2, features Jim Caviezel going after Andrew Tate.
Well,
that one.
Okay. One other one. Somebody from your chat said Ernest Saved Christmas. Yes, Ernest P. Worrell. Jim Varney was another great character comedian.
Yeah, I've never seen those. I know them.
Picture the actor, but I've never actually watched it.
Nope, I've never watched any of them.
Michelle, I think we're going to be adding some to our first watch list. So, like, we should do that one around Christmas.
We've got quite a few. Quite a few to watch, I think. Well, yeah, we've had a lot of fun watching some of the old spoofs that we had never seen, like Airplane. We'd never seen. What is it? What did we just watch?
Well, there's Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Cult classic.
It was awesome.
It got me that day apparently because I was dying at point. It was wow.
I'm pretty sure the table was just shaking during the rabbit scene.
Yeah,
like I was just like falling down the chair. It was good.
So
yes, Caddyshack. I have seen Caddyshack.
He's a killer.
He's so deadly. I have seen Caddyshack, Nina, so that's a good one. And let me get these super chats really quick. Sean, thank you so much for the 190 super chat. Hi, ladies. Looking good as usual.
Well, thank you very
Sean.
much.
I appreciate that. And it's Demanjanai.
Hello, Demanjanai.
AKA Demanji with the $2 super chat. Hello, great seeing you lovely ladies on the panel. Well, thank you so
Always
much,
great
sir.
to see
Good
you
to see you.
here.
And WD Pro, one of the fastest growing YouTubers.
My goodness.
He's awesome at what he does, has a fantastic channel. So does Demanjanai as well. Definitely check out Demanjanai.
Absolutely.
He's been on our show many times as well. And WD Pro, yeah, I wanted you, and he said, I saw you guys are connecting, Keri.
She just mentioned you to me, and I would love to do something. And Demanjanai.
Yes,
I'll be in touch
Demanjanai
with
would be a
both
great
of you.
one for your channel too.
Yes. Absolutely.
That would be cool. I'm trying to get a bunch of interviews done before my husband and I. My husband has a music tour in Europe in a couple weeks, and so I'm trying to, and I get to go.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's exciting, but I'm trying to record a bunch. So I'll be reaching out to both of you if you're interested.
Yes, and thank you very much, WDW Pro, again.
Yes, thank you very much.
He is the man. There's no other way to put it at this point.
It's true.
And let's see. Why I can't see. I'm blinded. Let me move this up here.
Rodstar.
There we go. Love the insight and kindness, ladies.
Aww.
P.S. I'm an occasional Christian myself.
Well, better occasionally than never, good sir.
We hope every one of you are always Christian.
Right. It's a joke.
But it is a catchy. It's a catchy.
It is. Well,
thank you so much. We appreciate that very much.
I know a lot of occasional Christians.
Oh, there's lots.
A lot.
Some of them are on Twitter or X.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Keri, I was going to get your thoughts.
Okay.
First, I was going to say that Barbie has now crossed over 700 million worldwide. It is dominating the box office, total domination at the box office. Let me actually, one second, let me pull up a tweet that I had because I feel like people were kind of shocked at the success of this movie. And I was not shocked. Back before I knew what the movie was, I kept saying on other channels, I think this movie can hit $1 billion. People aren't getting like what they're wanting from Disney. I just knew the market was ready for something pink and bright and pretty as Barbie is. But this is, guys,
like ultra feminine. Maybe they weren't looking for ultra feministy, but we do like the ultra.
We do like ultra feminine, yes. And I just put this, the Barbie opening, and now that can continue to the Barbie world domination. Should absolutely be expected. These two images contrast what women want compared to what Hollywood thinks women want. And we'll zoom up on that. We've got beautiful Margot Robbie looking quite stunning in a beautiful little Corvette with the pink background.
Unapologetically girly.
Just so girly looking. And then in the next image, we have one Brie Larson. I like to call her Captain Butch Marvel in this picture, where they decided she needed to be a little extra butched up for the second appearance she was ever in a Marvel movie.
It's time to beef up and butch up. The double B.
And point being, guys, it's not a mystery why women are flocking to the box office right now. The last ultra girly, unapologetically pink movie that viewers have gotten, I would say, was Legally Blonde 2. So there's been a lull of female-centric content, because think about it, guys, even rom-coms have been done away with. So the female market has just been underserved. And then on top of that,
I guess we could say I think Netflix makes movies kind of like Hallmark type movies.
Okay, but that's real specific.
But you're saying on the big screen.
on the big screen. Yeah. Big budget. I mean, it goes back, I think, to like a Legally Blonde, a Miss Congeniality, things that are just very feminine.
And somebody said Bridesmaids, maybe. And I do.
Yes, Bridesmaids. That was a great comedy.
I really like the movie Bridesmaids, but it definitely wasn't, even though, yes, it was very
girls,
very woman focused, but it wasn't
pink.
It wasn't the girliest still. It was still more portraying like the modern woman.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way per se, just that was kind of less like, so girly.
Yeah. So that's why, again, I think it's going to hit $1 billion. And this movie's lightning in a bottle, in the sense of the market was so ready for something that is this girly. And then, because even though there's modern feminist ideas in it, it still is very girly, like dance parties with Ken and wearing sparkles. And it is girly at the end of the day. And between that, and then also, where is my brain going on that? But between that, and then just there being such a lull in movies that kind of hit this thing. And then on top of that, almost every girl in America owns a Barbie. So there's an emotion where, like, little boys had so many different things to pick from that were big. You've got Hot Wheels, you've got G.I. Joe, Star Wars toys.
Whereas I see like Barbie.
It was Barbie.
Synonymous with girls' toys.
Yes, like it's just Barbie. Nina hated Bridesmaids. I love Bridesmaids. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's pretty funny.
It was one of those I liked it more on like a second viewing, and then I feel like it even kind of has a good message in it. So I really did like that movie.
Well, I take the message in of like respect yourself enough, women, to not just be someone's side piece, and like get you a good man that actually will love you and take care of you.
Well, that message, and then kind of like Kristen Wiig's character learning, like, okay, get
your life together.
I hate to say this, so I'm not usually this blunt, but I gotta stop being a loser. Get my life together and fight for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when Melissa McCartney tells her, like, I'm trying to get you to fight for your SHITTY life.
Yeah. It does. It had a good message.
It's just funny, but
it's like you said, it's not as girly as Barbie is, like pink. It's not bright. It's not all those things. But anyways, I've said all that, guys. That's why don't be surprised when Barbie makes $1 billion. And no, it doesn't mean that all those women hate men. I'm just going to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
The correlation they do not equate. But anyways, we're going to let you. So what were your thoughts? Because I know you have friends like Chrissy Mayer who liked it. And you have friends like Mark Harlow who did not like it. So
Yeah, that's why I watched it, because because I haven't had in a long time people whose opinion I respect disagree so extravagantly, I guess. They were way across the spectrum. So like for example, my friend Deb Philman, Mike Harlow, my co-host on Wednesday nights, Mr. Chris, all hated it. Mr. Chris said it was one of the worst movies he's ever seen. Which was, I mean, and I really trust him. And so I wasn't going to see it because I thought, oh, that's not worth it. And then I had other friends who started to say, like Cameron Pasha, who was texting me today, who said, have a good time with the ladies. Cameron and also I saw
Chrissy.
Ethan Van Sciver. Oh, and Chrissy Mayer had all liked it. So then I said, okay, I have to see it because they're so divided. So something's got to be going on here. I wonder what I'll think about it. And I talked about it this morning. Odin had me on a private stream, and so we talked about it. It was the first time I talked about it a little bit with Mr. Chris, but ultimately I think that the movie I think it's easy to read whatever different things into it, because I think it's a schizophrenic mess of a movie. I think it's all over the place. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. But at the end of the day, in terms of messaging, no, I do not believe that Greta Gerwig and her writing partner sat down to write something that's a mockery of woke or the concept of the patriarchy. I think she fully believes in the concept of the patriarchy, and the messaging I took from it was that the world is run by men, that women don't get a fair shake, that it's an oppressive patriarchy. And what bothered me about that was that they know that little girls are going to see the film. I did hear afterwards, oh, no, it's supposed to be for adults, it's PG-13. But they know. Ben Shapiro had a valid point when he, in his review, pointed out that they run children's movie previews before it because they know children are there. Yeah. And so they know that little kids are seeing it. And so, I had one friend whose teenage daughter enjoyed it and then said something, was discussing the themes with her mom afterwards. And she said, no, Mom, that this is the way the world is. Men do run everything. And the reason that bothers me is because I don't think that's the case. I think that's a bad idea to plant in the head of women, little girls especially. And also they had to bend the truth to even present that, because in the real world portion of the film, for example, they have all the Mattel board is, straight white men, which is not true. The board is like half women. And they had Will Ferrell playing the CEO, kind of alluded to, well, we did have a female CEO once in the 90s. Well, even when they showed the founder of Mattel,
it was started by Ruth. Yeah.
By Ruth. And even though they show her in the movie, they never tell everyone, hey, she was the president for decades.
Well, and she really founded it.
Right.
She started it.
Yeah.
The whole company of Mattel is my understanding.
So I didn't like that, but I'll say this before anybody takes that and runs with it too far. Visually, I loved it. And I also enjoyed the girly aspects, and I did laugh. I thought there were some very funny parts, and I really liked the dance scenes and some of the humor and everything. And I think it's possible to enjoy certain things about a film and still say, I don't like the message that I thought they were trying to give me, though, as a viewer. I didn't like the message of the film. Overall, I don't like it, but I enjoyed it, if that makes sense.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Well, and I think to feel free, almost like kind of something I've noticed that since the Barbie debacle happened, almost like, kind of like get back in the box. If you're a conservative woman that liked parts of this movie, well, now you're a feminist.
Yeah.
So now you're supposed to say you hated everything about it. And I just find that thinking kind of silly.
Well, I think I was going to get into that because I think people they didn't necessarily get what they expected from the Toxic Femme group last Monday.
Oh, so what happened? I didn't see it.
So we all express that we think that there's woke ideas in it that are presented that we
Yes.
disagree with,
Yes.
but we also don't think it's quite as hellacious as people are making it either. Like in the sense of we don't think it's quite, because there is, you said a good word, which I've said to Natalie. When we walked out of, I've actually seen it twice. When we walked out of it, I told her, I compared it to Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde has one cohesive message that is told throughout the movie. And I said that's why it's overall a better movie than Barbie. Because sometimes in writing, you know
Yes.
this, Keri, you keep things simple. The one message of Legally Blonde is don't underestimate like a woman who is a little girly and
Yes.
isn't so serious.
Well,
like
maybe
that's
more than a little girl.
she's very girly.
And I'm all for it.
but
Yes.
that's the messaging
And
of the
doesn't have a
movie.
lot of common sense, but that
Right.
doesn't mean
She's stupid.
And so
Right.
what is it?
Yes.
What is it really though? At the heart of it, it's an underdog story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us we love to see that deep
Yes.
down. We root for the
because
underdog.
you feel very bad for her character multiple times. But and I told Natalie this, I said, this movie tries to say too much.
Yes.
And when trying to say something too much, you don't it's just not as clean. It's just not as good of a story as if she just would have said, here's the two things.
And I totally see those points.
Here's the two things I think should have been focused in on in the Barbie movie. I think if I was writing it, the two things I would have hit on were the mother-daughter relationship, like use Barbie to and Barbie does bring them together at the end, but like really let that be the heartbeat of the movie. And then also kind of women dealing with, because let's be real, a lot of women do deal with body image issues, and not in a positivity body, not in a way they do it today, where you can be 500 pounds and you're good and you're going to live a long life, because that's not true. But like in a healthy way, try to kind of help. Because I will say, like a scene I really enjoyed, Keri, it was one of the scenes that actually did have, I think, some power in it for women. Is when Margot Robbie sitting down, like at I think she's in front of the bus stop, and she looks at that old woman and says, "You're beautiful." Like
it's very well acted, like kind of her genuine emotion, and just it created something kind of special in that moment.
Because let's be real, guys, especially you've got the pearly things of the world that are trying to tell women all your value is in being under 30 years old. You're ugly the second you go beyond 30 and have no worth.
If you happen to be a single parent, forget it. Nobody is ever going to want you.
There is that
we get told these things every day.
Yes.
This is real life.
Women do get in real life get told a lot of bad messaging about things like that. So I thought things like that should have been more the heartbeat kind of the movie. Personally, that was my take. But you are right. There's because I said that to you, that there's too much trying to be said in this movie.
I think I don't even need those things from it. I think if it had just been any easy to follow plot line of Barbie having some kind of challenge and overcoming it, and still having all the fun dance numbers and everything, would have been great. Like I don't even need stuff about body image. I feel like that does too much for Barbie too. Like Barbie Mattel takes itself so seriously in some ways. Like every time someone criticizes them, they apologize, and then they bow to the mob, and they come out and try to be like, oh, we're going to be more inclusive. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And so I feel like just stop taking yourself seriously. You're a toy.
Yes, it is a toy.
People who are like, like in the whole average Barbie thing in the movie, where they have one of the characters, the mom, comes out with this idea of doing average Barbie, or normal Barbie, she calls it. That already happened. There was this artist who designed average Barbie. It wasn't Mattel who did it and put it out, and it was this terrible looking. Who would want to own that average doll? And it's not aspirational at all. I'm sorry, it just wasn't even. And then, but everyone's like, yes, this is the average dimensions of a woman, and the average, which is so funny that on the one hand, at that time, that was around 2012 or something, they were all kowtowing to like it has the dolls have to be exactly proportionate to what the average woman's size is. But now skip ahead 10 years and they're like, men can be women. So okay, so I guess the Barbies can be huge now. And like at the time they're like, it has to be exactly proportional. And they're like, I don't know what a woman is. So they just kind of they go with wherever the ideology goes in a way. I do think that happens. I do think they listen too much to that. Remember when they put out
So it wasn't Mattel that put out that. I know what Barbie you're
No.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, well they did. After that, artist put out Average Barbie, which was not a real Barbie. It wasn't Mattel. It was an artist who did it, and they sold it, and they did a Kickstarter campaign and everything, and made a bunch of money. There were lots of news articles about it. So after that happened, then Mattel put out a line of, I forget what they called it, but it was basically the doll, and their hashtag was the doll is evolving. And it was about how there's different sizes, and it's size inclusive, and they basically did that because of the popularity of this artist, Average Barbie. But they've done other things like that. I kind of I don't know. I think they're very sensitive to criticism, is what I gather, and they want to be hip and cool.
Part, like little girls just want like pretty Barbie.
Yes, and that's what.
Yeah.
See, if you go back and look at the old commercials for like the first Barbie, so one thing I think they got right at the beginning of the movie when they introduced, when Barbie came on the scene, it was true that little girls were playing with baby dolls. They were imagining themselves role playing as moms, and Barbie was the first popular mainstream doll where they imagined themselves as a teenager or a young adult who's a model and who has a boyfriend, and they're imagining themselves as something other than a mom. They are the doll, not taking care of the doll, right?
Yeah.
They are the doll. They see themselves as the doll. And the doll was like aspirational. And then they came out with all these different things. Even in the 70s, Barbie could be, Barbie was an astronaut. Barbie wasn't just a model. Barbie did all these things and nurse and, all kinds of things. And so it was this sort of, I could do this or I could do that. It was aspirational toy. And then if you cut all the way to like 2012, where you have this artist being like, no, people are mediocre. Here's a mediocre doll. That wasn't from that.
It's not exactly something to aspire to.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like a little bit, it's almost like you want something, even if it's not the most realistic. When you're a little girl, like you said, you just like, I mean, my mom used to ask me what I wanted to do when I grow up. And my response was something pretty. I mean, like that's little girls.
Yes. They also, I think it's really funny, all the criticism throughout the years, because they did get a lot of flack about body image stuff in the 60s and the 70s. They had sleepover Barbie and they had babysitter Barbie, both of which came with different accessories, and one was a diet book called How to Lose Weight, and there was only one page and it said don't eat. So of course they got criticism for that. And then they got criticism for Pregnant Midge, which they kind of mentioned in the movie.
Yeah.
They got criticism for Shara Smile Becky, which was the wheelchair friend of Barbie. But her people who were actually disabled were upset because her wheelchair didn't fit in Barbie's dream house elevator. So it wasn't.
So the wheelchair Barbie in the movie actually was like founded on. I thought they just threw that in there.
No, there was she was called Shara Smile Becky. But if you bought her and in her wheelchair, she would go to Barbie's house and be like, well, I guess it's not accessible, Barbie. Yeah, exactly. You ableist. So they got criticism for that. So it's like whatever they do. And then I found this really beautiful line of Barbies that they started, I think maybe a decade ago. And it's this Mexican designer who came up with them, and it's the Day of the Dead line of dolls with the most beautiful and detailed costuming and makeup. And he said, I wanted to do a line that was paying homage to my culture. And what happened? Criticism from the woke. It's cultural appropriation. How dare you make Day of the Dead dolls? So it doesn't matter what you do, Barbie. Just stop listening to people that complain. That's why I was like, Mattel, I just wish these companies would quit being led around by the nose,
Yes. Yeah. They'll do better if they do.
Yeah. Totally.
What I was going to get into, yes, like, so Barbie has sparked quite a bit of interesting conversation because I think it's very far from a perfect movie. Very. Again,
But it was just, do you know, this is the honest truth. I told Michelle this, like when we went to see it, I think it had been built up already just from the reviews I had already seen. They had built it up like it was so horrible. Like I was about to go watch sacrifices on an altar.
Wow. Okay.
Like this was gonna be like little girls are chanting, "We are not mothers. We are not." I heard that on one. So I don't know where they got that part from, but it's like, so it's almost like I went in there like, oh gosh. And it's almost like it ended up doing the movie a favor because I went in there expecting it to just be just crazy, like trying to be artistic, which I mean, there was some trying to be artistic, but like trying to be artistic in this, not that it didn't have dark elements if her intention was not good, but you know what I'm saying? I just thought it would be a lot worse than what it ended up being, almost from what it had been described as. And then you had Ben Shapiro's review, and then, you know, it's just like the worst movie in the world. And so I think that's why it almost did it a favor for me before I viewed it. So
Yes.
it was just
I
like,
think
oh,
so.
this was it, you know?
Yeah, because that is the thing. Like, I think, and that's kind of where the toxic femme chat was last week. And here's where I was getting at, because I think you'll appreciate this. Kind of my closing remarks when I got off was just kind of like, you know, everyone in the chat, like, you know, this group of girls will defend men. I was like, but we also don't want to become what we like, or what we talk like, what we come against, to where, like, and you know this from the woke crowd, where you use woke tactics, like the same tactics, but on the other side. Like, any girl who likes any aspect of this movie is a modern day feminist who hates men. And it's like, no. And I think
like,
that's,
let's not take it that far.
no, it's like most women who enjoy this movie may like roll their eyes at some of the stuff in it, but like it's the fun stuff that they enjoy. And like, let's just say no one who didn't hate men before they went into this movie isn't gonna hate men when they leave the movie.
And I would just
Except
say,
maybe little girls. I will say, I do think it has the potential. We might disagree here, but I do think it has the potential to be just like one more impression of this idea that I think is incorrect, that they're giving to young girls.
So you're
like,
saying
that's
in the
all.
real world,
In the real world, if there's like the preteen, my friend's daughter who I mentioned. Now, that's not the only messaging she's received, I'm sure, that, hey, the world's a patriarchy. But this was one of those messages, one place where she got that same message. And I just think that for that reason, I do think it's important to talk about the messaging. And, you know, I guess you can't put what I think in a box easily, which maybe people don't like. I didn't hate the film. I just didn't like it. But I also enjoyed parts of it. So
yeah.
I don't know. Like, you can do both.
That was kind of what a lot of toxic femme, everyone in the chat was kind of like, we're not giving this movie a 10 out of 10 here. Like, we just like, we enjoyed parts of it. Like,
well, and see, Keri, like, I totally can respect your review, but then it just seemed like there were so many. It's almost like they might not even have had to seen it, and they could have done a full review for it. And how much, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, how almost just like, this is the team we've got to jump on. Like,
yeah, it was very team oriented.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The rebellion in me doesn't like that, you know. So
me either. Don't tell me what to think about something.
Because here's the thing too that did get funny in some of the reviews that just despised it. They're like, this is how they view men. It's like, no. This is how they were viewing Ken. And Ken and Barbie and Barbie Land were very much the way a kid would imagine these characters. Hence why, like, when Ken's like, because we're boyfriend, girlfriend, like, it's such like a little child's way of imagining. That's where kind of some of the parallels have become extreme, in my personal take, because, and at the end of the day, you ask almost every girl who's their favorite character in this movie, and it's Ken. Like, everyone loves Ryan Gosling's Ken. Like, he is their favorite.
He's very funny, but I do think it does emasculate men. I do think that it presents now, and I say that laughing at some of the scenes, like where all the Kens were on the beach and they're all singing the same song to their Barbie about like, I want to push you around.
The song Matchbox 20 Push.
That was really funny.
It was.
But I do think at the end, what's the message? That this is one way you could view it, and I viewed it. I'm sure there are other ways to view it, but at the end, she rejects her life partner who was created for her by her creator. Okay. In this case, it's a doll maker, but symbology, right? Rejects the life partner, thinks he's terrible and lame, and he is. And then she, he expresses right before she does that, he expresses this, you think there could be, like Ben Shapiro was talking about, there could be this moment where they both start to see each other as equals and as as flawed characters, or dolls or whatever. But she doesn't. And she rejects him and goes off to live, to do her own thing. And to me, that's kind of that same sort of feminism, kind of like go pursue you, and you do you, treat yourself like your truth. That whole kind of the future is female, like it definitely made me think of that stuff. Again, I can still watch it and enjoy it.
Here's
Hold on, I want to say this.
I'm going to lose it.
Okay,
Michelle.
well, I was going to
lose
say,
it.
okay, well,
I've got to get it out. But what if we flipped it and it was like, look at it like she could have gone back to this feminist utopia that she had gotten back in order, but instead she decides, even with the patriarchy,
time out. Which the god,
I'm going to choose to be human.
Which I will give them this: the godlike character in the movie tells her that there is no patriarchy; that these are words we make up to deal with kind of like the messiness of life. She literally says that to Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think.
Oh, no. I heard that, but I didn't interpret it the same way. No, she says the patriarchy. The way I interpreted that is we create this. We make this up. We create this. We make these things to make sense of life.
Yes.
Right. Like the patriarchy is real. It was created to help make order and sense of the world. I didn't take that as a rejection of the patriarchy doesn't exist. I took it as this is something we made, humans did, just like we made racism or, what have you. That's the way I read it. I know that line, again, I think it can be interpreted either way. This is the way I interpret it, but I do understand the other interpretation.
And I will say,
I think that about this movie, though, and maybe
it is kind of the way you take it.
A little bit of credit we can give it is it can be taken. You really can take several things. Like if you really broke it down and you look and see it this way, or you can see it this way. You can say, some of it is blatant, but some of it you're like, okay, what was she really trying to say here? And I do like something that makes me think or engages me.
Because I will say this, even though the line that made me roll my eyes is when the guy was like, Ken was like, so there's no patriarchy. And he's like, no, we just learned to hide it more. That line, like, I hated that line. Like it aggravated me. I despised that line. But as Nina does point out, they also make the point that Ken, I mean, it's very funny when he tries to get the lifeguard job even. And he's like, no, man, I can't give you the job. And he's like, I can't even beach here. And so they do make the point that, like,
because you're a man, that doesn't mean you can just do these things.
Yes, that men have to work very hard too to get to where they are. So that's where I go back to the movie kind of is all over in its messaging.
Well, and
at
like
times,
said,
or it leaves it up for interpretation.
I think the movie, I can agree, like, especially on the second viewing, it is a bit messy. I think in that you're like,
it is.
Okay, there are bits of like that would appeal to children. And then there are bits of this that are trying to be an indie film. And then there are bits of this that are a mainstream Barbie movie. And then there's the messaging. And then there's the mother and the daughter. And then, it's like,
it's a lot.
There's kind of a lot of elements going on about it.
Yes.
So I do agree with that.
I think it's completely schizophrenic and it's a mess.
Which is why I told Natalie that this movie, I said this after we watched it, I said this movie will never reach the heights of a Clueless or a Legally Blonde because the story's too messy. I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
People will go and see, like, I think Odin said this morning when I was on his stream about women do things in groups, and I immediately thought of the bathroom. Yes,
we do
go to the bathroom in groups, and he was like, so this film's it is doing great, it's going to continue to do great, but in terms of will people buy it and rewatch it the way they do Clueless or Legally Blonde. I don't think so.
I don't think so
I just think
either.
it's all over. Yeah.
I don't think on the same level. I think they'll see it enough that it's going to make $1 billion. I will say that.
Yeah.
And I think girls will buy it. And again, some of that is because there are, and that's again back
Those
to
kind of diehard Barbie fans.
Yes,
fans.
and I think some of the men who absolutely hate it, I understand, why they hate it, because some of the elements that are fun in this movie are for women. Like they're things that women are going to find fun. So I think there's X amount that are a lot of fun in this movie. Let's just say the second time I saw it, I didn't find it near as offensive as I did the first time.
Yeah.
Because I did view, like, again, as far as demasculating men, again, I do believe the Kens, when you're in Barbie land, it is supposed to be the way girls imagine men. Like, and that's even like in Ken's
I can
song.
see that. Yes.
And even in Ken's song, when he's like, cause I'm great at doing stuff. Like that line makes me laugh because as a little girl, you don't think like what Ken actually does.
Well, but that also could be kind
He
of making
just-
fun of men too. That depends on how you look at it.
I took it from a little girl's perspective. I took it from a girl's perspective of, did you have a career for Ken?
See, now I'm playing
Hold on,
devil's
hold on.
advocate. For
Did you have a career for Ken? Or was Ken
no.
just Barbie? Exactly. Ken was just Barbie's boyfriend.
I don't even know that Ken got involved in my playing much, to be honest.
No, and I see that, and I think it was doing that, but I think it was trying to do so many
much.
things.
Yeah.
And again, I think it suffered from just not having a coherent. I think it had a
Clear-
message,
Yeah.
but it had too many messages and too many plot lines, and it didn't. And also the characters' motivations would change, which that always bothers me. Like
Yeah.
the Mattel board, on the one hand, in one instance, they don't care about making profits. Then on the other instance, they do care about making profits. That's what drives things. And it's like, these characters don't even make sense. And I've heard people say, well, it's not supposed to make sense because it's from the point of view of a kid. And I'm like, no, that doesn't, you just told me it's made for adults also. So
You still need to make everything. Sense.
Yeah. And it just really falls apart for me. Plus I don't know. I didn't like the kind of movie that I would like. Here, let me give you an example. Idiocracy, I think, is a great movie with a great message and has some really funny moments.
I've been told I have to watch that.
You have to watch it. But overall, as a film, it's terrible. It doesn't actually. I mean, no, it's a. How can I phrase it? It's a good movie. The message is so good, and there's so many independently funny parts, but it feels like a lot of funny sketches put together.
Yeah.
And
I like that
the overall plot structure isn't that strong, and character motivations and stuff. There's problems with it, but you can watch a scene from that movie and die laughing, and also think this was so prophetic. That as a whole, it's a little bit schizophrenic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. Well, this one I don't love, and I also think it's schizophrenic, if that makes sense. So.
No, it absolutely does. Because again,
Yeah,
I literally said to Natalie, compared it to Legally Blonde having a very clear line of what it's trying to tell, and this did not. And I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. I don't think that's just my opinion. And then another one I forgot, another one that was very pink and unapologetically girls, Mean Girls, which became a classic.
And that was definitely more of like a high school girl that
it is
more that age demographic, I think.
Definitely.
Like I have to be honest. I really loved Mean Girls when it came out, and I was in high school at the time.
I really loved it when it came out.
But it's just like, but I don't tend to like want to rewatch that one. Like I'm not like on a random day like, man, I really want to watch Mean Girls. But I did really enjoy it though.
I just saw her. I just replied, Nina, I love that movie too, but I love Idiocracy, but I don't think it's very cohesive. Like as independent scenes, it's great and the concept's great, but somehow it fell apart with the whole script. Like in between the glue that keeps the script together, that's where I think it fails.
Yeah.
But I think but I still love that movie. I've seen it many times. Maybe I'm not describing this well.
Now I just need to know what this movie is.
Idiocracy. Steel Magnolias is a wonderful movie and also very
cohesive. I've seen it. Michelle has not. Send in a super chat if you would like Michelle to watch this on a first watch. and watch the tears flow. They
I
just
feel like
might.
I've seen like a scene from the movie back in the day, but I've never like sat down and watched Still Magnolias.
If you want Michelle to take one for the team. No, I think she'd like it though. That's the thing.
I probably would. I
Oh
probably would.
no. Nina just canceled me. I have to quit looking at your chat though, because the people are it's popping off.
You're canceling, Keri.
They're wild in this chat. You gotta watch them.
So the movie's called, what is the movie called? Idiocracy?
Idiocracy. Yes.
Who stars in it?
And to be clear, I love it. Luke Wilson,
Okay.
Owen Wilson's brother.
Yeah.
And there's so many things in it that have come true. It's like Black Mirror, but funny.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Now I do need to see it.
Yeah.
And there's so many quotable lines. Like my husband and I just went to Costco the other day, and there's a line in it where things have deteriorated so far in the future, and people barely speak English anymore, and they just use like pictures. When you go to Costco and he's like, "Welcome to Costco, I love you," you know, like, it's like that's what they say when people come in, and I feel like that's our government right now. They're like, the government loves you, and we were like, they love us. Let's vote for them.
Exactly.
So apparently I need to see this movie. But yeah, Barbie to me, like there's a lot of fun in Barbie. I've seen it twice. I think it is one of those, and kind of closing my thoughts on Barbie, that you can take a lot of messages, because I actually wrote Script Doctor. Okay, here's the message I pull from Barbie. That's towards like preteen girls leaving adolescence. It's kind of like a coming of age story in a way. Of like, yes, you've got to leave this fictitious world that you've created in your mind, because the real world is not like that, and the real world can be a scary place, but
it's worth doing.
And you still can go there.
Just came to
and be successful. That is actually, when I saw it a second time, that's what I wrote Script Doctor. This is what I get from this movie.
Okay. I could see, and I can see that. I can see that. That's just not what I took from it, but I understand that, and I see that there also.
And that's what actually has been fun about talking,
just discussing.
Because again, me and even all the girls, the ladies on Toxic Femme, we were like, guys, we're not saying there's not woke elements. There's woke elements in this movie that we don't like.
You would have to be blind not to think there are any woke elements.
Wait, because I saw Nina in the chat said it was a crazy episode. So were people like really divided on the panel?
No. The panel was just kind of like, we don't think it's the worst thing ever, and there was stuff we
I
enjoyed
watched
in
the
it.
whole thing. You're gonna have to watch it. It's very interesting.
Was the chat not wild?
The chat was wild.
The chat was wild. Like, they were not exactly thrilled with our take on Barbie.
They were getting a lot of heat.
We were all in the hot seat that night.
Yes. You know, here's a good point. Someone in your chat says, if someone has to explain a movie to you, the writer has failed. Which is kind of like, that's what, the fact that you can read so much into it, again, I think speaks to it's not being very clear, not being very cohesive, kind of being all over the place in terms of messaging. That's what I think. That's why I think you can read so much into it. But one of my favorite directors, this makes me think, it's a little guilty, because one of my favorite directors is David Lynch, and you can read so much into his movies, because I could see how somebody says, because they don't make sense, and I'm like, no, but they do, and this is what this movie means, and I'm like, I'm one of those people who's like, and I trace the whole meaning. And
well, I was one of those a few years ago. I watched Twin Peaks for the first time. It was just one season, I guess, and they had it on Netflix, and then somehow I went on to watch the HBO. So this is all David Lynch, I guess. And there's like Mulholland Drive. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen all of, yes, I love him.
But because it is his stuff is kind of mind bending and crazy, but it's like, it is very interesting though. It's very interesting. And the red curtain and it's just, it is like a dreamlike state a lot of times.
It's a mood. He creates a real mood, I think.
Yeah.
And leaves a lot up for interpretation. Somebody else could come along and say, and they have, no, it just doesn't make sense, Keri, and you're reading whatever you want to into it. Okay, maybe you're right.
But it is. It's fascinating.
But
But I think art does that though. You know, it has that effect that people might look at it and see like 30 different things, like 30 different people. But I think it kind of should do that in some cases. Not like like an entertainment movie, like a blockbuster. But if you're going more for like an artistic thing, I think it should inspire conversation and maybe even debate or whatever it is.
Yeah, but like I've said, it's never good. And I even said it in the Toxic Femme chat. I was like, first of all, if you've not seen this movie, you don't really get to have an opinion on the movie.
Oh, yeah. Were there people there who had not seen it?
Oh, yeah. Like, we're awful for how dare we?
They're like, I never thought I'd see the day these 4 conservative women turned into feminists.
Did someone really say that?
Something like that.
You know, if Mattel were smart, they should cut that clip and use it as an ad. We confirm conservatives feminist. The power of Barbie. The power of Barbie compels you.
The power of Barbie compels you. Nina, I just think it's funny that the Barbie movie turned some men who have never played Barbie or anything into a bunch of raging.
There you go.
It really was. It was, yeah, you have to go back and just, if you rewatch the Toxic Femme, just watch the chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a look at the chat.
That was intense. But yeah, guys, everyone in the chat, that's kind of all I've got to say on Barbie. Definitely not a perfect movie. Nowhere near a Clueless to me. Clueless to me is like a perfect movie.
It is. And it is set in high school, but I'll be like 75 and going back to watch Cher every now and then.
But the reason I think that is, Natalie, because it was based on such a timeless classic of Jane Austen's Emma. So that's why it's a timeless story.
And do you know, I think I've told this before, but I've got to impress Keri. I'm just tooting my own horn here but I think I was like 10 or something when I watched 9 or 10 when I watched Clueless. And then I'd watched Emma. Now, keep in mind, I had no idea, but think how young, smart little Natalie was, honestly. I said to Mom, or our mother, I said, you know, is there some kind of connection to those stories? Because instead of going to a ball, they go to the mall. And I was like, and then instead of setting up, and she's like, yeah, it's based on this. But I was like, yes, go, little brain. I figured that out.
Look at you figured it out. I love that. I love it.
You got to appreciate your W's, you know.
Yeah, the best story, the timeless stories are the ones that are told over and over in different ways, but the same universal truth or a theme. That's what I think. That's why you see so much, and people will say certain films are, or even sometimes they'll say like Superman or different superhero movies are echoing different parts of different Christian stories or storyline, and they're pulling the same themes, right? And so sometimes those themes you can have like a movie that's very cohesive where it's like, this is the theme, or we are taking this timeless storyline and we're doing it in this way or whatever. They're very cognizant of it. But other times you can have just like too many of those conflicting themes, I think. But yeah, like Nina says here in your chat, Lion King, Hamlet with lions.
I didn't know. I don't know much about Hamlet, but that is really smart.
Yeah, I have it. But anyways, I do think that Barbie has sparked a lot of conversation. But men, most women are just there to see Margot Robbie, Barbie, Pink, dance parties. That's really what they're wanting.
Yeah,
like that scene was a lot of fun. I mean, it put a smile on my face.
And some of the Ryan Gosling lines are pretty funny. Like when he's like, "It's boys' night every night." And he's all mad, and I'm like, that's pretty funny, you know.
No, Ryan Gosling was quite hysterical
just
in the
way
movie.
just so cool, like just about what they were doing that night. Like a little girl would say, like, of course a guy's not really gonna think that that's so cool, like a planned choreography dance night with a Baroque, and he's just like, so cool.
Yes, it's again been an interesting conversation, but do not be surprised, guys. I've told you why. It's easily going to make $1 billion. There was just a market that had not been tapped into in a very long time. Now, Hollywood typically takes the wrong message away, or the wrong moral of the story away from things. But what I hope they get is that women do want feminine things. And last thing I will say, in Barbie,
Not third wave feminist things,
but feminine,
or maybe not second wave. I'd have to look into these things.
No, most women in America are first wave feminists, though. That was Barbie. You can be anything. You can choose. And I will say in favor, a positive of the movie is it does. That's where I didn't really understand when people said it was against being a mother, because there's literally a line that puts being mother on par with president. She says you can be a mother, you can be president, or you can be a mother that is a president.
I will say, I really didn't receive any anti-mother message from that. Is one, like, we can call it other things, but that's one that got called out too that I really did not pick up on.
Yeah, I didn't really see that one.
Maybe it just went over my head, but even them showing the pregnant doll that got discontinued because it made people feel uncomfortable, it's almost like they were calling out Mattel for, it's like, oh yeah, because that's like awkward and creepy to show, like, well, but now that I think about it, when I speak it out loud, maybe that is awkward.
The doll was awkward.
Maybe it is awkward.
It was, the little baby doll was inside her belly upside down, and you could see it. And you could take it out.
Did you have one?
No, but go look at pictures. It's really creepy. And no wonder, because if you see that in the store, you're like, It's kind of like the movie Alien with like, like if women actually walked around and you could see the baby, it would be creepy.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Like a clear case.
Yeah, like a clear belly. It was like that.
That is super creepy. Well, let me grab these super chats before we end. Thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Love the insight.
I think we read this.
Oh, okay. Yes, we did read that one.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Buttcrack Media, the most lovely buttcrack in all of YouTube.
Hands down.
Say hello to these amazing ladies. Well, hello to you, sir. And kiss my grits with the $5 super chat. Are there any other 80s, 90s toy franchises that could equal Barbie's live action success? She-Ra, Rainbow, Bright, Strawberry Shortcake, Polly Pocket. I say no, because Barbie has been such an icon and beloved by, like every girl I know owned a Barbie. So I say no, as far as the level that Barbie has
Strawberry
reached.
Shortcake, if you made it kind of like more like what Barbie was kind of advertised as, like kind of a for all ages, because that actually does have a huge following, kind of going back some decades. So
okay, well maybe that,
especially if they made that really girly and glittery, which you very much could with those characters.
If you made it fun and girly and just don't try to put
too many messages.
Yes, just have something simple and fun and like
simple. Yes, again, back to Legally Blonde. It's a very simple one note message. It is. And he's Greekverse with the $10 super chat. Hello, or Geekverse, I mean, not Greek. I was very critical of the movie from a story structure perspective, but I do think it was a satire of modern society, but it's connecting with a lot of people, so deserves to be analyzed. That is true. I think that's why we have.
Very interesting.
Thank
you very much.
We have spent time analyzing it because it's been so polarizing. So you kind of want to, like you said, analyze and discuss it. So I agree. Thank you. And your average Patriot nerd, another one of our highest level supporters. We appreciate you. Hell, lovely ladies. Yes, Idiocracy is a must watch. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch this. I'm gonna have to watch this. And kiss my grits with the $5 super chat. That Sanctuary looks like it's been
hosed down with Pepto-Bismol.
Sally Field still okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that line.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen it, so I have to watch it. And thank you so much. And John Thomas with the $10 super chat.
Well, I guess at least somebody wants you to see it.
Well, okay. Still Magnolias is a must. Dolly. Julia Roberts, Sally Field, Daryl Hannah, Shirley MacLaine, and Olympia Dukakis. We pushed the computer back, and it's kind of hard to see.
It is a great cast, and Dolly wears a lot of blue eyeshadow, and it's just it's good.
Yes. Well, thank you so
honestly, much. Shell, just for the looks, we love 80s big hair and stuff. Like
I do like 80s
you're
big hair.
You're gonna appreciate the hair and makeup in this film.
The bend and snap. See, it had one thing it wanted women to know, and it was the bend and snap.
The bend and snap. That was the message.
That was
Such
it.
simpler times.
It was. But Keri, any final thoughts that you have or anything you want to promote?
Oh, I was just remembering in Legally Blonde. What was the funny line where she's like, "I object," and you can't, and she can't object.
When he like hits on her, you know. I object.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's her video she sends to Harvard.
Oh, that's it. I object. It's so stupid.
That was just like, that's just girly cuteness. That was just
Yes.
so cute.
It's so silly and fun. Yes.
I'm-
Final thoughts, you said?
Yes.
No, I had fun discussing it with you. At the very least, it's provoked lots of interesting conversation and debate. So that's good. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to chat with
Yes.
you too, because I know, again, one of the reasons I really enjoy Keri's channel, guys, is I think in a very polarized world, the reason I don't like polarization is people begin to dig their heels in and the gap keeps widening. And I don't find extremes to usually be the best way forward. And I think that Keri does a very good job of, one, it is deprogramming, calling out some of the kind of Marxist communist type stuff, the woke stuff that is in the world. But I feel you do it from a very nuanced approach, which I think is needed in our society. Like, honestly, people, if you can't define what woke is, don't say things are woke. That's kind of where I am.
Yeah. It's gotten, I mean, it's a good thing that the word has become so popular, though, because that means people were trying to explain what it is and, sound the alarm, have done a good job. But it has become so popular, I think, that maybe sometimes people just say that word and don't know. But
yes,
for the most
and
part,
Keri can actually, Keri, we'll let you that be your, if you can say what you promote too, but we'll let you give your brief description of what woke is to our audience.
Short version. It's a belief system, and it's a belief system that says the best way to look at the world is as a competition for power between identity groups, and that the best way to reach equality or equity is to redistribute power based on what identity group people are in. And it is related to Marxism, but it's, instead of being about, Marxism was more like the best way to look at the world is as a struggle for wealth among class groups. This is about, no. It's a struggle for power among identity groups. So we need to redistribute the power. The problem with that is that it's not liberal. It's not individualism. It's collectivism. It says, no, we have to look at people as these, whatever identity group they're in, and treat people as group members, which it's, collectivism, racism. That's like white supremacy is another kind of collectivism. It's not individualism. It's not liberalism. It's not what helped us get to where we are in society, taking us backwards. So that's my shortest version.
Yes.
I think that was an excellent description.
Yeah, no, that is an excellent description. And do you know one of the things that you said, you were talking about woke, what is one of the worst woke statements that I hate, I mean, I hate it. Do you notice when people die, like the woke people say, rest in power?
Rest in power.
Ooh, I hate it.
That shows you what they worship, though. That is at the center of the belief system, power.
Yeah, not peace.
Yeah, not
power.
Not peace, and not even class. Like a lot of actual Marxists, old school Marxists, hate woke, and they hate this identity-based Marxism, and they will say it's not Marxism, and they're right. They're right. It's a mutated kind of Marxism. It's evolved into something else, and in part, woke social justice, this identity-based Marxism, is what killed off Occupy Wall Street. So they have good reason to not like the woke, the old school Marxists versus the identity Marxists,
Yes.
But, Nina says the F. Oh yeah, they do. They say rest in power. That's like very common.
Yeah, I see it all anytime someone dies that they like rest in power, and it makes me just like internally cringe. Like, it's just like, ugh. I don't
It's so
know.
gross too, by the way,
It is.
when I pass away, please hope for me that I have peace and not like power, like beyond the grave, power. Like who wants yeah. How can you rest in power? Rest in power. Like I'm not resting if I'm like power.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But Keri, what do you have up? And let's see. I let's see. I don't think Marcos is here with our moderator is here with her stuff, but I will go back and put her channel in the description below. So definitely go subscribe to Deprogram with Keri Smith if you haven't yet.
Oh,
Again, great channel. But anything you
And
want
look
to
out
promote?
for the occasional Christian episodes.
Occasional Christians.
Occasionally Christian. No, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's in the running.
I like it.
So what do you have coming up?
Oh yeah, so you can find me on social media at Real Keri Smith. My channel here, as you mentioned, is called Deprogrammed with Keri Smith, and I'm about to hop on Toxic Femme. I just checked the chat; it is
Awesome.
happening, so I'm going to be on there. So see you guys there.
Yeah, I'll be over there too. Definitely check us out there. And guys, we will look for our video coming out tomorrow. Our first time watching reaction of Robin Hoodman in tights. We had fun with that one. And I'm pretty sure we will be off next Monday, but then we'll be back. But I'll let you know on the medias, on social media and YouTube.
On the medias.
On the medias. I'll let you know. But you guys have been awesome tonight.
Yes,
Keri,
we
we
have.
appreciate your time so much. I went over what I said. I apologize.
We did.
I
Oh,
apologize.
that's
so
fine.
fun
It's
to talk
fun.
to.
You're fun to talk to. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And everyone out there, you've been awesome.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
And thanks for stopping by.
But mainly, stay classy.
But thanks for stopping by.
Have an awesome rest of your week. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right. Bye, guys.